welcome Clarisa Kirk to Pizza with the Pros, Vice President Digital Marketing with Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment. Please welcome Clarisa. So before you sit down, Clarisa, let me just show this one thing. Manages digital marketing team that supports. There's some big brands with Harris Blitzer Sports, some big brands. The Sixers, the Devils, the Prudential Center, and more. She can get into the details of that. Previously worked with Comcast, NBC Universal, and has been in a variety of marketing and working with different brands. And so we'll talk about that as well. Went to the University of Pennsylvania, the Wharton School. Pretty good school, I would say. And then she got her master's degree from NYU from the Stern School of Business, which is also another really good school. So please have a seat. Have you been to Rowan before?
No, this is my first time. So thank you very much for having me.
What is, you tell them a little bit about your background, like where you grew up and how you ended up here in this area.
Okay, so I'm actually from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Grew up there, moved around a little bit when I was younger, but spent most of my childhood in Cherry Hill. So
West or East?
West side I grew up. Now I actually live in the East side, so I returned back.
Oh, you did? You went
yeah,
back?
I never
but you
thought
went to Cherry Hill. You went to Cherry Hill East High School?
I went to Bishop Eustace.
Bishop Eustace, all right, sure, yeah.
And then went to University of Pennsylvania for college. And after that, I took my first job in Wilmington, Delaware at Chase. So right away I started in marketing. My first job was working in direct mail. So I don't know how to date myself, but that's what comes in the mail, and just know right before you tear it up and throw it out that a lot of people put a lot of time into that. But I spent about a few years in that area, and then I made my move to brand marketing. So I don't know how familiar you are, and feel free to jump in with any questions. But
you went to you work for some big companies. Mm-hmm. So just give them an impression about you're working in corporate America, and then we'll get into the sports part of it. What was corporate America like? Yeah,
that corporate America. So the benefit of corporate is it's a huge organization. There's a number of departments. Where you can work, a lot of people, a lot of resources. So you'll hear these words: resources, a lot of budget, big campaigns. When I worked at Chase, particularly on the brand role, we worked on launching, like if you saw TV commercials, that was what drew me to the group. I worked on a number of projects that reached millions and millions of people. And I loved working in marketing. I love the experience of being in corporate America. And through my time at Chase, I found that I did not love credit cards. I got a very valuable experience, especially coming out of college. It's really important to understand credit cards and how they work. It gives you a lot of, a good financial foundation coming out of college. Mm-hmm. But I thought, I'm not really passionate about this. What I am passionate about at the time was I wanted to get into entertainment. And I knew that there were a lot of marketing roles. So I thought, the things that I'm doing every day, working on marketing campaigns, advertising, managing a brand, why can't I do this for an industry that I'm really excited about? So that's when I decided to go to New York at NYU, mm-hmm. and I joined the MBA program, Stern. I decided to go full time because I knew that through some of my research that to get into a TV network, they actually really weren't looking for MBAs. What they were looking for was work experience. So I knew that during my time there, I'd have to intern. And I wanted to be in New York because then it also gave me a chance to intern, to network with different companies, get to meet different people in the industry, get some advice while I was in school, so that once I graduated with my MBA, it would give me a head start. And then I could find a company that I was excited to join. So
NBC Universal, Comcast, Comcast first, then NBC Universal, or the other way around?
NBC first.
Okay.
In New York. So I worked in 30 Rock. I mean, when we talk about corporate, I had every corporate experience you can imagine. So I was like in the heart of Manhattan at 30 Rock. I worked on first in digital ad sales. So NBC Universal was just starting to get into the digital side, which means like websites, apps. And for me in my career, I'd always look for groups that were growing, launching new things, because what came with it was more opportunity in your role. So I joined the digital group, and I worked with the ad sales group. So we did marketing. So a lot of what you see on TV is commercials, and that's sponsorship driven. So behind the sales team that sells the sponsorships is marketing. So I worked in the marketing role. And then after a few years there, I really missed being on the consumer side. So instead of marketing to businesses to advertise on a TV network, I wanted to work back in marketing to advertise to the consumers. So I was able to make the move to NBC News, and I worked for the Today Show, or the Today. I want to correct myself because I was on the brand team. So Today was just a really cool experience. You know, you're working in news. That was a personal choice to be in that industry because there's you don't plan the news. So what came with it, is some like lifestyle choices. You're going to be pretty much in the moment, a lot of reactionary work, but also what came with it was I was working for this incredible show at the studio. I had a huge, really incredible experience. There would be moments where I'd be like, wow, this is my job, and so that was a really awesome experience. And then we had a baby. My husband and I got married and had a baby. And what came with that then was the start of, just thinking about, all right, what would be the next move? And at the time, Comcast had acquired NBC Universal. So, and Comcast happens to be based in Philly. So a couple things all, lined up. And we were able to move back to Philly. My family's down here. And then that's when I joined Comcast. So I...
and that role at Comcast was what?
Integrated marketing first. So what that means is, by that point, I had collected a number of, different marketing experience across different capacities of marketing. So like brand, digital, traditional marketing, which would be like TV commercials, billboard, print. So I touched all the different ways that you could do marketing. So integrated marketing is now you're like the quarterback of the different marketing campaigns launching. So that was where the role I started in at Comcast, and then I was able to switch to the digital group. So I kept my eye on digital because as the world was changing and digital was continuing to become so prevalent to everything we do, I felt like that was a good lane to be in because then you would have, just more opportunity would come there. That's, what I mentioned earlier. I always look for roles that are growing because then it's sort of like job security, so you always, I like to keep that in mind too when I look for roles.
It's a good idea. Job security is important. Okay, so we're Comcast now. How did you end up then in the sports entertainment world at Harris Blitzer Sports?
Yeah, so after a few years in digital, so again, back to your question about corporate America, my role was very specialized at that point, really focused on display advertising. If you're familiar with that, like let's say you're on a website and you see a banner on the website or something pops up. That was my area that I specialized in for Comcast, all the marketing that went through display advertising. But the scale was huge. We were running like 1 billion impressions a month. So the volume was very wide, but I felt like my role was becoming too specialized. And I just missed having some more of that variety. The other piece to know is as you advance in your career and in your roles at corporate, then you're less in the actual work every day. And I missed the work. So one of the things I started to think about during in Philly was, what industries are here that would get me really excited? And sports was always a big part of my life growing up. I played sports my entire, I was going to say childhood, but even through college, I played at Penn softball. And I'm from Philly, so I'm a big fan. Phillies teams, I was at the parade on Friday. So when I went to a Sixers game, my brother happened to have a friend who was on the entertainment team. So my family, we got to go to the court after the game. And I was like, this is awesome. I could do this, right? I could work in marketing here. So I just started to research Harris Blitzer. And when the opportunity came up for the role that I ended up applying for, I was able to, make my move. And sort of the pattern that I was describing, like the team that they were building a digital team. at that time. So this is about almost 4 years ago. I joined about 4 years last in April. And the role was posted to oversee their paid media and email teams. So I had worked in email, I'd worked with paid media teams, but never oversaw it. So for me, it was a really exciting opportunity to make the move into sports and then also to help build and grow a digital team, which would bring new skills that I hadn't had as much as as a leader, a team leader.
They didn't have a digital team at that?
They did.
Okay.
They did, and this, I guess, think of this as, because I certainly want to respect the people who were before us.
Yeah.
When they hired my boss, think of it as like a 2.0.
Right.
So they wanted to really invest in the role that digital would play for the organization. I joined in 2021, and that was also, during COVID. So it really put a spotlight on the importance of being able to leverage digital while people are at home. So what I thought was really, I give a lot of credit to, my manager and our department head who thought to recruit digital talent, and then bring that into the organization. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the team that we now have, everybody who came in had digital talent but no sports experience. And then they, because to sort of hone the digital knowledge, it does take time. So they thought if they brought that in, and then we could adapt and learn how to work in sports.
All right. So now you have a little bit about her background and about what she's been up to in the last 4 years. How many of you are interested in marketing or digital marketing? And when you heard that, you said, whoa, that sounds pretty cool. How many of you think that that's an area? All right, so there's a few more that are coming up. They're going like, I don't know. Because they probably don't know all about it, right? That's probably,
sure.
And that's why you're here.
Yeah.
So who would like to go first? First question. Sean, you got one?
Yeah.
What do you got?
You said when you first started, you were like amazed that you made it to New York. So when did you stop being amazed and go to work?
That is a great question. So probably when we had our first child, and you start to, you just look at how much time you have during the day. And it's, it was an unbelievable thing to have a child. For me, I've always wanted to have children. So that was like a very exciting experience. But then I found that I was now trying to balance my day and my time in a different way as a working parent. But I never lost that feeling when I was like in 30 Rock, and particularly where like the elevator that I rode was where synced up with a lot of the studios. So like, I would just, one of my like favorite moments was just being at the elevator with Jimmy Fallon. And I'm just like standing there, and then I'm like, be cool. Don't like, he's here to have his own break before he goes home. Or I could just walk to the cafeteria and like past the SNL studio. So there were moments. So that's, I always held on to that feeling of, being amazed. But when I thought about, now I have different priorities in my life, that I wanted to adjust how I spent my time. And that made more sense at the time than that I should switch roles.
But you had that same feeling when you walked down that court with the Sixers, just like when you were in 30 Rock and you saw Jimmy Fallon or whatever.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So is that how kind of reaffirmed, like, wait a minute, I think this would be really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And I still get that moment. I love the Sixers. Like, I am a hardcore Sixers fan. So even when, we're in the playoffs or we're at a game and it's so close, just you get so caught up in that moment. And I'm like, wow, this is my job, right? Like just being at the game this is like what I work on. And that is something that I think throughout my career, I've always tried to look for, because you do spend so much time working. And when you think about how much time you can spend with your family, your friends, my husband, my kids, if I'm going to spend so much time somewhere, I would love it to be in something that I'm really excited about. And that's sort of been my like guiding principle.
Go ahead.
Does your job entail like booking stuff for like athletes and all that? Because my mom does something like that for
cool.
a minor league baseball team. I don't want to copy her. That's why I didn't raise my hands with the "Are you interested in marketing" thing. But like, what does your job exactly entail for like
Sure.
how you do like the stuff athletes do all outside of the game?
Okay, that's great. I should have covered that. So no, I don't do. That would be really cool if I booked the athletes. So a lot of my role is about is marketing. An easier way to say it would be like advertising,
Okay.
and then specifically through digital channels. So if you're on Instagram.
So like promoting stuff. And all
Yes, selling tickets to go to Sixers game. I oversee the paid media team. So if you're on, any social account, TikTok, Instagram, and you're just scrolling through your feed, and then buy tickets to Sixers game ad pops up, that's from my team. I also oversee our email team. So similarly, if you sign up, if you've attended a game, and then we capture your information and pull you into our database. Then we'll send emails out if you sign up for our 6-man newsletter. I work very closely with Jenna and all the Blue Coats digital advertising. And then the third channel I oversee is SMS marketing. So this is a newer one for us. So it's just different. So that's the common theme, is thinking of like digital touch points.
All right, right here. Go ahead.
So I have a question. So is there any like sports teams you want to like market in the future? Because I know right now you market the Devils, the 76ers,
Yeah.
like you want to market like the Eagles or like any other like professional teams around here, like maybe NFL or any.
Well,
like,
let me chime in on that.
Sure.
Will the Commanders now are they part of Harris Blitzer, or did Josh put them in part of it, or do you handle any Commanders stuff?
I don't directly.
Okay.
My boss does.
Okay.
So the Commanders are within the larger umbrella
Okay.
of Harris Blitzer. And then my boss, who's the head of growth marketing, which includes the digital marketing, digital products. So he does lead the Commanders digital team.
So to the question
Yep.
about, do you have interest in doing additional sports, or?
I'm really happy in my role at Harris Blitzer. Because the way that we're structured, our digital team, we work across the whole portfolio. So as Harris Blitzer grows and acquires new properties, it exposes us and connects us to other teams. So even if I don't directly work with the Commanders, we have knowledge sharing. And, like our counterparts, I'll talk to them. We're all under the same team leader. So we are on calls and I learn about the NFL. And as Harris Blitzer continues to grow, like they took on Joe Gibbs Racing, which is NASCAR. So as they continue to build out their portfolio, I would organically get exposure to the teams.
How many of you are familiar? I'm pretty much everybody in this room. Harris Blitzer Sports Entertainment. How many of you familiar with it? Yeah, pretty much everybody is. I mean, you've become now one of the largest sports ownership groups in this country. What is that like to be with a company that continues to grow even since you've been there?
Yeah, it's really exciting. Just for what I mentioned, like in the past year, just to be able to see firsthand the acquisition of an NFL team, right? I don't know how often that happens, but it's really exciting to be a part of a company that and the leadership of the company, that they're really focused on growth. And then, I mentioned like I look for roles in companies where I can be exposed through growth, to growth, because with that comes, an opportunity to like learn new skills, learn new industries, learn new sports teams, without having to switch your role. And I'm really like Harris Blitzer is just an amazing company to work for, but the role changes without you changing your position, and I think that's sort of the sweet spot for me right now.
Fandom, okay. You said you went to the parade on Friday?
I did.
You went to the parade on Friday. Yeah. Yet Harris Blitzer Sports owns the Commanders. So talk about your fandom. Sorry, Mason over here is a big Commander fan. How do you put your fandom aside in working in a company? You said, I love the Sixers, grew up probably watching the Sixers, but not necessarily Commanders. Now they're part of your portfolio of teams that you're not necessarily you, but the company.
Yeah.
Can you address that as far as the fandom is concerned?
Yeah, we joke with the Commanders team, right? Like, I fully support. The Commanders were awesome to watch this season. They had an incredible run. So I fully supported them when they played the Eagles. We just had friendly banter, but you can have two feelings, right? I felt like the Commanders had an awesome season, and I was really happy that the Eagles were advancing. So
Did you have fun at the parade?
I did, yes. we happened to be closed, so our office was closed for the All-Star break, for the NBA All-Star break, and then the NHL. They're in Four Nations, tournament right now. So our office had a 4-day holiday, 4-day weekend. So it worked out perfectly that it was off.
That's great.
And I could go.
All right, next question. We'll go all the way in the back.
So throughout your career marketing, what are some of the most important skills you've learned? You touched on it a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Talking about gaining new skills and going in innovative directions in your career. So for us as beginners, what are some key marketing skills that you have taken away from your career?
Sure, that's a great question. So in terms of skills, I think I would say I'm sort of going to broaden it to, I guess, things that have helped me in my roles. So I always made it a priority to learn about how the business works for the company I work for. So, for example, in my role right now with the Sixers, in order to be good in my role, I need to know what my part is to the broader business. And what that means is, I know how to do marketing, but what's important to the company is selling tickets, but also sponsorship revenue. So if I can understand the business model, then I'm more equipped to think about which marketing strategies make sense that will help the business, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So similarly, when I was at a TV network, it's a different model. They're very heavily into sponsorship advertising, selling commercials or selling digital sponsorships. But that's a totally different industry that at the time was driven by ratings, or it's a very different way that their revenue comes in versus a sports industry. So that's something really important that I learned over time, was to be curious. So if you want to, be curious, commit to the industry you're in, and to learn about it. I always ask questions about, especially as you're starting out your roles. There's no right answer, right? So, and this is something that I'll always coach younger team members, that you're not. It's about building your own toolbox. So there's no right answer. You just want to learn how to ask the questions so that you can make an informed decision in your role and trust your own intuition. If that makes sense also.
Very good.
I hope I answered your question.
Right here. Yes. Yeah.
So in your career, have you ever had to study the social media analytics of, I know you're part of marketing, but I know, and you were posting on the social media, emailing, and certain TikToks and stuff like that. Did you have to study which one was getting the most views or likes or stuff like that? Were you part of that?
So we do spend a lot of time looking at analytics. One difference is our team, where you post and you look at likes, comments, etc. That's more tied to organic social. So it would be, say, the Sixers handle, and they're posting content from the game. Here's this great play. Check out the final score. Our paid media, or paid social posts, we're more in the advertising. So we do look more behind the scenes. How many impressions did we capture through how much we spent? How many impressions did we get? How many clicks did we drive? What's the click-through rate? How much revenue did we drive? How many tickets did we sell? So analytics is a huge part if you work in digital. Highly analytical is another skill if you want to work in marketing, and then especially digital marketing, because we like to demonstrate what was the impact of this campaign. Was it worth the money that we spent?
What was the class, whether it was at NYU or at Penn, that you felt prepared you the most for what you're doing today?
Probably my just the foundational marketing classes. In my head, I'll think of the 4 Ps. I don't know if for anyone who's studying marketing, but it's what's the product, what's the price, what's the promotion, what's the placement. in a meeting at work, I won't say that, but those like fundamentals have stayed with me. And then you learn how to, adapt it or flex it based on the industry you're working in or the role you're in.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good, Leo.
What did you learn from marketing that made yourself marketable? Like, how does marketing and marketing yourself, how do those like kind of cross lines?
That's a good question. I don't know if I
Pun not intended.
Probably when I think about my brand. So if you think about the brand for a product, right? If you're buying a pair of sneakers, really at the end of the day, sneakers are functional so that your feet aren't touching the floor. But when you think about the hundreds and hundreds of types of sneakers available, what is it about, that brand or what you're looking for that would make you spend a certain amount of money, right? And you could be more economical or you could be more premium, wind that price. So when I think about the different companies I've worked for, my education, the different skills I've developed, that all contributes to my professional brand. And then as you continue through your career, what's been important to me is making sure that my my personal brand and my professional brand are in sync, and that I'm authentic to what I'm doing. So you heard me say, like, throughout my career, I've been trying to make sure I'm working in something that I care about, looking for growth, just to know that I'm continuing to push myself. So I try to match the two together. And then I think when you're in an interview, it does come through if you come across as authentic.
So essentially market yourself as a company.
As a company, I didn't think of that. Yeah, it's like, but I guess, over time as I'm like collecting my experience.
Yeah, I guess as a product, is the better word to use, like market yourself as the shoe essentially.
Like which shoe do you want to be? Or, or which whatever do you want to be? But so that's just sort of the balances. Like if you're in an interview, the interview is a chance for the hiring manager to get to know you and how you present, right, in that 30 minutes. Most impressions, I think, are in the first couple of minutes, right? And so I generally have a good read on somebody, in the first couple of minutes, and then as we continue to talk, then I start to probe. But that's how you show up. Think of it as your brand.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Good,
Great
Ryan.
question.
How important is storytelling with marketing wise? Because I bet that's something that you're going to try to reach customers wise.
Yeah, it's very important. So in our role, so depending on the organization, the storytelling could be led by different groups. So our team directly at the Sixers, we're not we'll work with the PR team. We work with our content team, who are very close to where the organization, the players, and we think about where the team is headed. But that storytelling is what informs then our marketing strategy. And maybe we want to lean into this message for this campaign or lean into this moment because people are super excited about Yabusele. So you just want to ride the wave with the stories too in the marketing.
Thanks.
Good.
So you mentioned before that you used to work with the shows like the Today Show,
Mm-hmm.
and before moving to the sports world for your work, and obviously that's a noteworthy transition. What I'm wondering is, when you transitioned to the sports area of it, what the differences like? Did it seem more similar than you thought it would be, or more different than you thought it would be? I guess I'm just asking is, what was that transition like?
Yeah. So I guess it was good training to work in news, to work in an industry where it's a live event, just the live component, because it has what's built in is that you're reacting. And I think that's a hard thing to adjust to if you haven't had that experience. So I probably had a smoother transition into sports because of my experience in news. And so just what I mean by that is, if you like a 9 to 5, if you just like a really structured day, then this might not be suited. So we, you know, our games are at night, and particularly as we think about what are good times to get our fans excited to buy tickets. You want to capitalize on exciting moments. So if there was an amazing, you know, win over the Celtics, on Christmas Day we played the Celtics, and I'm at my, you know, like family's house for Christmas, and we're about to, like, all my kids are about to open their presents, and I'm like, hold on, the Sixers are about to win. We have to prep an email that we're sending. But that's a choice that you make to work in an industry that isn't as structured. But so it comes with nights and weekends, you know. But that's just part of what you have to know going into it.
That email went to who on the Celtics? Who were you emailing?
We were emailing our fan base
Okay.
to say.
So that's beyond, is that anybody who's bought a ticket, anybody who's had any kind of interest in the Sixers?
Right.
You have this whole database, and that's who you're reaching out to?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
How big is that database?
It varies.
It's large. Okay. Right here. Go ahead.
Does team performance have a big impact on your job for the Sixers? I know they're pretty bad this year, but having them be so good the previous years and then do terrible this year, does that have a big impact on your job?
So that it certainly is a part, you know, is a part of my influences how we approach marketing, and the team. There's going to be blips in our seasons, you know. So this year, yeah, certainly a tough season. What it has done on, you know, for the marketing team is it's created more opportunities for marketing. So as we're looking for more ways to keep our fan base excited, to look for, like today we kicked off a promotion for no ticket fees. So if anybody's looking to buy Sixers tickets for the next 3 days, there's no ticket fees. It's also President's Day, and a time that a lot of retailers are going out with sales. So we anticipated that there will be a lot of online shopping activity. So it was a chance for us to also be, you know, be visible and to also offer a sale. So that's where, you know, like team performance certainly is a factor. But I just think of it as, you know, what more can we do from the marketing to help balance it?
And that campaign, this no fee campaign,
Mm-hmm.
when was it brought up in a meeting? How quickly does that turn around to you from inception to execution?
Pretty quick. This one, we work with a couple teams that we've also, but our core group, we've worked together now for quite some time. So we had planned this out for a few weeks. But to like at the core of your question, we can also turn something around within a few days.
You're with Harris Blitzer Sports. You work closely then with Sixers people, Devils people, Prudential Center. What other entities are you working with closely and I guess supporting their staff to do these campaigns, or do you have some kind of oversight about what they're doing?
No, it's all the brands that you mentioned, the Blue Coats, very closely. We have Youth Foundation. So really, it's those are the main brands that I focus on. And then because we do support the organization, the full portfolio, if there's a question about digital or, hi, could I tap you just for your knowledge on any email best practices from another brand that I don't directly work on, then I'm happy to help them.
Mm-hmm.
So we're accessible to the full organization.
Okay. All right. Right here.
So I understand that you have a lot of experience across marketing facets, like brand, B2B, and obviously digital across industries.
Mhm.
What's the most rewarding or interesting project or campaign you've been a part of?
Oh, that's a great question because I'm trying to think now across all of them. Probably one of the biggest campaigns that I took a lot of pride in was when I was at NBC News and the Olympics. So the Olympics are broadcast on NBC. So that alone is a pretty unique experience. And then I got to be pulled into a commercial that we were running for Today. And the program was called Love Your Selfie. So it was just trying to reinforce positive self-image. But for me, that was this is the biggest stage, that you can be on. And then because of my role with Today, and I worked really close with our creative team, they were like, hey, do you want to be in this commercial? And then I had, people were like, we're in an Olympics commercial. But it's just, so I think it's moments. I have probably a few more that come to mind, but when I have those moments where I'm like, wow, I helped launch this, and it's, that gives me a lot of fulfillment.
All right. Who's next?
What advice would you give to someone who wants to do what you're doing, but isn't sure where to start or how to work their way up?
Yeah, sure. So I would say network is definitely top on the list. And so what I mean by that is, don't be shy about reaching out to people in roles that you're curious about. You don't need to worry about your brand, when you meet with them, because you're in college now. So I would say the main thing is you're just trying to learn, right? How would you know with this person who's been in this role for years and years? How would you be able to know that? So definitely networking. And a lot of it is, I ask people, or people talk to me through somebody, through a friend. I think when through LinkedIn, if I just get a cold message, I'm less inclined to, to engage. So if you do know anybody, or you have a great, professor who has connections, but essentially that helps. Otherwise, that's number one. And then number two would be probably to build on that. Once you're in that conversation, really ask them, what do you do in your role? What are skills that you would suggest to somebody in my position? And then ask them if they have any internships available.
So do you have any internships available?
So I realize I just set that up. I know we have a summer internship program. I don't know off the top of my head when it opens up, but we do that.
Is there, because I'm from Maryland, is there anything the Commanders are doing for a summer internship?
I am not sure actually, but
They are, but it wouldn't be through Harris Blitzer. I mean, it'd be more through the team that I'm aware of, rather than through HBSC. But maybe they have something.
I'm not sure yet, but I can.
But definitely the Commanders do. So yeah.
Was Chase your first career right after college, or did you have an internship prior to going to Chase?
Chase would be my first professional role. So I interned at Penn in a research group, or I had little jobs. But Chase was my first one, and I did their internship program the summer of my junior year, and then I was able to get a full-time position
Was
after.
that based in New York?
Wilmington.
All the credit cards are in Wilmington. They're all in Delaware.
Yes.
When you went to Penn, did you know marketing? When did you make that decision?
I did. I was interested in marketing when I started.
When you started?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to get into.
What was your actual major?
Marketing.
Marketing?
Well, actually, sorry. Warren is it's a Bachelor of Science in Economics.
Okay.
And then you can pick a concentration or a specialization.
Okay.
So I picked marketing and management.
Okay.
Yeah.
Within Wharton. Okay. Yeah, Cole.
Another question is, who or what inspires you to keep going with this job, and who got you into this job in particular?
So I guess who inspires me would be different mentors that I have. And that's another, important suggestion I would give, is to seek out a mentor. And I've adapted who I've asked to be my mentor based on where I am in my career. And then particularly to getting this role, honestly, that moment was when I was to inspire me to look for Harris Blitzer. It was being on that court at the Sixers game. And actually, I'll share, I have 3 brothers. And after that game, we were talking about, I was like, oh, I think I could work here, right? And so this is just the dynamic of me being an only girl with 3 brothers, but they're like, no, you don't know enough about the team, the actual team history. And I was like, no, I know a lot about marketing though. So it just sort of gave me this fire to prove them wrong. And I got the job.
That's a great point. You look in the crowd here. We have 105 students here tonight. And you look in the crowd and you see a lot of women here, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That wasn't always the case in this industry.
Right.
Did you experience Well, you just kind of shared, hey, you're a woman. Do you really know much about the team? How can you do this job? Did you experience a lot of that while coming up in this business? Although you've been in the corporate world, so it was a little different until you got to Harris Blitzer and more specifically sports.
Yeah. I have not. I know in general for sports, it is, there are challenges for women, but one of the things that drew me to Harris Blitzer, though, is they are incredibly supportive of women. There are a number of female leaders in the organization. My current mentor now is the COO, Laura Price. She's amazing. So there's a true culture at our company about supporting and developing female talent.
So when you see these women out here, what would you tell them?
If you want to work in this industry, go for it. So it's that's for everybody in the room. It's more if you want that job, you can do it. There's ways to do it. Another thing that I've sort of held on to throughout my career and the different moves that I've made is that I can't control when the job's posted. What I can control is the prep I do, the opportunities I take advantage of. So in my current role, I'll raise my hand a lot to take on that extra project, or, hey, could I better understand what you're doing and why? I'll ask somebody to coffee and just say, if there's a role that I'm interested in joining, I'll ask somebody if they could just chat with me to learn about it, because that just helps you get more informed. And then as you advance in your role, and then for me also now I have, I'm a working parent. I have 3 kids. My husband. There's different responsibilities to your life, and also how I want to spend my time. So it's even more important as I got older and advanced in my career that the role I was picking was something I really wanted to stay in.
How old are your kids?
10, 8, and 6.
Oof, you get your hands full.
5. My son's going to turn 6 in a month.
Wow, you got your hands full. All right, who else has a question? I'll go here, Ryan. Go ahead. Oh, no, hang on a sec. Leah, go ahead first.
You said that in your career that growth and development are important in terms of the industry. So how is Harris Blitzer handling the challenges and opportunities that come to marketing to Gen Z?
You mean the challenges of marketing our company to Gen Z? Well, I think we have a high number of team members, in that generation. As I think about it, I actually think our company is a good range of employees versus, I would say, at corporate, I find you're in a much larger organization. So at corporate, you're going to see more of a mixture of age ranges. But a good portion of Harris Blitzer has a younger group. The way that I think, this is an opportunity for me to be in front of, potential younger candidates to learn about the organization. Sports in general does, I think, appeal to younger generations because of the opportunity to be in sports and attend the games and be there more on the ground. But you let me know, actually, after this, if there's anything that you feel like there is a gap. I'm happy to chat with you about it.
Leah's with the Blue Coats, so there you go. A number of these students in this room are with the Blue Coats, so
that's great.
They're part of that HBSC family. There they go. Go ahead, Leah.
How much does work-life balance, or how much do you prioritize your work-life balance, and does working in the job you really enjoy play a role into that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so like I mentioned, right? I know this is a ways off for you. Where now I have 3 kids, and and I'd love to spend more time with my husband. There's a number of things where the hours in the day seem a lot more limited. A big thing that helps me balance everything is time shifting. So, for example, I get up pretty early, maybe 5:30 or 6, but it's also my hour to myself in the morning. And that's usually when I'm fresh. So I'll save some of the work that I want to catch up on for that time before my kids get up. And then if I send emails to my team, I just tell them, they know that I'm a working parent. So I say, just ignore my emails. I do not expect you to answer. It's just the time for me to catch up. And same thing, at night. So when I'm at work, I try to be focused at work. But then when I leave and come home to be have time with my kids, then that's also like my time with my kids, and I try to do my husband. I try to protect that time. But it's it's a balance.
As we found out on Christmas.
Yeah.
They beat the Celtics. Let's go.
That was the best gift.
Let's go. All right, good, Ryan.
So what was the biggest lesson you learned while at school, like at Penn and at NYU? Just like a life lesson, or like a lesson that a professor or like a student taught you?
That's a good question. Probably, I guess I'll combine it. So like at Penn, I think when I left Penn, right? So Penn is an excellent school. When I left Penn and I started my first role, you see the different educational experiences that people bring to the table, where they came from, and I found that you can have your education. We were chatting about this, like you can, if you set aside where you came from, everybody's at the same table when you're working. So it's about what you do with the opportunity that you're given, right? And it's like even if you go to different colleges, you study different majors, it's about what you do in that time, in that role, that will, I think, in the long term matter. And then when I got to grad school, I had a few years of experience under my belt. So the biggest life lesson leaving grad school, or what brought me, that sort of guided me through grad school, was I was just really trying to make sure I was choosing what I wanted to do. Versus my first job after college, you're trying to find a job that's will give you a good pay, will be a good first company on your resume, give you some good foundational skills. So as I left grad school, it was really more about my own personal drive.
I think to add to that, I tell students all the time, you need to be passionate about what you're doing. Because you're getting up every day,
right,
and you're going to do it.
Right.
And you mentioned all the other, not that they're distractions, but you have 3 kids at home, you have a husband at home. Like, you better look forward to going in and doing that job, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you've been talking about multiple times here today, about, I want to make sure I'm doing what I want to do.
Right. Yep.
Do you think now you've kind of, sort of gone full circle, but now you're in a space where, man, this combines everything that I want to do?
Yes, definitely. And that's what I was so thrilled by the opportunity when I got my role here, because it was also, partnering with my boss to help build a digital team, but on brands that are so huge. So it was such a unique experience that I do consider myself very lucky and fortunate. But it just makes it that much sweeter because of my life today, right? And that I don't have that itch to go look. Whereas, in previous roles, it just seemed to be my pattern was like after 3 years, I'd be like, all right, something's off, and then I'd want to go look, because it's a lot of work to look for a role. Like, I also tell people I think it usually takes about a year when you're like really trying to find the right role to move to, and then you have to keep putting yourself out there and interviewing and networking. It's a lot of effort.
And your office is in Camden,
correct?
Right. So Harris Blitzer has, where the Sixers practice facility is where your office is, and then they have people in the Prudential Center, where the Devils are. Okay, Sean, you had a question.
How often does the digital team go in the office?
So we have a hybrid policy. So it's Mondays and Fridays we work remotely. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're in the office. And, I give a lot of credit to HBSC that they brought us back. I want to say it was July 2021. So it was pretty early when you compare to other organizations, but it established within the culture, the office culture, that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is when you're there. And so I think it flows pretty well, that we have a lot of team meetings on the days we're in the office, so it feels beneficial to be there. And then Monday and Friday are still great days to be remote. So I've appreciated that balance in our schedule.
All right.
And then once a month I go up to the Devils and Prudential Center. So I work incredibly closely with those teams. They're based in Newark. So we make a point to go up there.
You say once a month. Once a month you go up there? Or
yeah.
Once a month.
Once a month.
Once a month.
Yep.
Go ahead, Alex.
So after you set foot on the Sixers stadium or on the court, and you decided like this is really what I want to do, did you then wait for a position to open, or did you then start reaching out to people in the organization to try to get in somehow?
So at the time, I signed up just to get notifications if like for the company, like if the job's posted. But I wasn't actively looking at the time. And then a coworker at Comcast took a role there. So right before she left, I asked her to get coffee with me, and then just asked her, what drew her to the role, to the team, etc. And it did happen to work out that when the position that I applied for was open, she was still on the team and at the company. So I was able to reconnect with her, and she was able to pass my resume on to the hiring manager.
By the way, Laura Price is a former the chief operating officer for the Sixers, but a former Pizza with the Pros guest.
Oh, great!
So we've had a lot of people. So you're in good company. A lot of people from the Sixers have been with us. All right, who else has a question? Go ahead.
I have another question. So, what's your favorite part about your job? Because I know like marketing and stuff. Because I remember like in your previous jobs, like what are you most looking forward to in your position? Like, do you want like more sports teams added to Harris Blitzer?
I'm looking forward to playoffs.
You want a parade?
I want a parade. That's what I.
And I have another question.
Hang on. Let her go. So more teams. So we kind of touched on that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Would it change your role or your job if you had more teams to market to or market for?
It would. Yeah. So as that's probably what I look forward to overall. That what comes with the role is that. That there is always an opportunity for the role to expand. Or like this year, we just added SMS as a new channel. So expand by teams, expand by my scope of responsibility. And then within each digital channel, when you talk about paid media or email or SMS, there's new ways to innovate within the role. So that's what I enjoy the most is, I guess, it's a mix. I understand the general components of my role, but every day could be a little bit different. There is no same day for me. There's no typical day.
And then my second question is, what's your thoughts on like the Sixers proposed arena? Because I remember they were talking about like the one they're going to go to Center City, but like there's so many locals that are like protesting it. So now they're doing like the proposed because I know you're a Sixers fan, so like. What are your thoughts on the new proposed arena for like they're building in South Philly?
Well, let me. I'll make that a little easier on you because obviously you're trying. The company wanted it in Center City, then made the decision to go to South Philadelphia again. Are you pivoting and changing how you're marketing? Are you involved in that marketing part in any way to try to change the opinions of people about where you should go?
Not. I am not.
Okay.
That's not under my scope.
Okay, that would be more of a PR thing, or
different
Molly or
group.
something like that would be going. Okay.
So in my current role, no, I don't work on the arena. But there always is a possibility that if there's digital support needed as it becomes more established within the company, then I could end up, supporting it. But overall with the arena, I'm really excited with where we ended up. It's, I think overall we've always been focused on staying in Philly. And then, there were still some mixed reactions towards Center City. So when the opportunity came up, as like a solution with Comcast to stay in South Philly, I think that's really what the fans overall were most excited about. It seems like, like a no-brainer.
What is the most effective way to market these people, this age group?
Definitely digital, I don't think. But social, that's a big area, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. Because I don't think that you turn to email. I think SMS.
That is true. That is true.
SMS is a big thing, but I also know that that's the most personal one. So we think about that it's more one-to-one. On social, we spend a lot of time looking at which social channels are the demographic by social channel and then which age or which demographics do we want to reach or expand to, and then which social channel brings that into our plan. So,
What would you say? Social then? Where would you go social with that?
So same thing. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but TikTok. Where's
TikTok? How many? If they marketed you towards TikTok, how many are gonna react to that on TikTok? Okay, put them higher. Okay, go ahead. What else?
All right. Do you guys use Snapchat?
Snapchat. Not
a little bit.
A little bit. Okay, not as many.
All right. How about Instagram?
Instagram. There you go.
Okay.
So is that number one? That was number one in what they just raised their hand.
Instagram's a big part. Yes, in our media mix, and part of what we think about. So to advertise to you, you need to develop that what we call creative, that ad. So Instagram, a lot of what we're able to do is we call them graphics or like static creative. So we're exploring now more video content to get into TikTok, but then what comes with that is now we have to work with our video production team to produce the content. And then also within TikTok, there's a certain style of, like video that feels more native to that channel. So we also want to show up in a way that feels authentic to that environment. So that's where within each social channel that we have a creative strategy, we have a targeting strategy, and an investment strategy with the budget. And then hopefully that gets you to come to Sixers games or Devils games or a concert.
So let's end on this note. They're going to. I'm imagining someone are going to come over and talk to you about, internship. What about the future of this industry that you're in? Is it going to change in 5? I'm sure it is, but how do you foresee the future of this part of the industry right now?
Oh yeah, I do believe that digital digital marketing in sports, at least based on my experience since I've been a Harris Blitzer, was a little behind the curve versus other industries. So I really think the more it will accelerate, it's a great area to be in, and it's across. I've had the benefit of seeing it across different sports teams. So, we spent a lot of time talking about Sixers, but just as invested in the Devils. I'm sorry if there's any Flyers fans, but the Devils are my team. But they're in Newark, it's a different. You also have to think about the market that sports team is playing in. So it's very different when we think about the strategy for Sixers in Philly versus the Devils in Newark, where there's also the Rangers, the Islanders. So I think more and more digital is becoming a much larger part of the strategy, the overall business strategy.
And then there'll be something else in 5-10 years, right? We don't even know.
We don't
even know what it is, right? It's going to be something. Clarisa, thank you so much for being here today. Let's thank Clarisa, Kirk.